You're planning on retiring at age 67, but for some reason you change your mind, you're tired, you're exhausted, maybe you got laid off, and you're like, can I retire 7 years earlier at age 60? Well, I got some clients here that are going through the same situation. Let me show you what we came up with. As you can see here with the Monte Carlo analysis, they have a really good probability of success if they retire at age 67, and we'll go into the details, but they've decided, I kind of want to retire right now. They're 59, so let's say they wanted to retire at age 60, 6 years earlier, and they're not going to take Social Security to age 67. How does that affect things? That changes things quite a bit. That reduces down the probability of success 29%. And what I mean by probability of success is there's a 29% chance that we got to make some income adjustments along the way. So if the clients really wanted to do this, I'm not one to tell them no. So let's talk about some of the adjustments that we can make to make this plan look better. But let's go over some of the details first. So currently these clients are 59 and they're going to want to retire basically in the next year. Their retirement monthly expenses, they want to be $5,000 a month, and that's how much they spend now. Now, that's not including their mortgage that they have on their property right now. It's around $2,000. These are the actual expenses that they need to pay for to enjoy their life the way they want above any debt payments that they have. They are working, have about $150,000 salary, and they're saving about 10% to their 401k. Remember that. $150,000 salary at 10% is about $15,000 going into the 401k. There's a big difference that if they work longer and they contribute to the 401k versus them retiring early and contributing to the 401k. What is that? Well, they don't get to save as much for longer. If they're retiring early, they're going to start to distribute assets. A couple more bits of information is they have a portfolio, because they're very risk averse, that is predominantly fixed income. 59% is fixed income, 41% is securities or equities. So keep that in mind on potential adjustments. Let's see how that works out. When it comes to Social Security, they're both planning on taking it at age 67. Both the couples, the spouses, are 59 right now, so they will be similar in age when they start taking their Social Security, but maybe there's a more optimal strategy to help smooth this plan out. The next piece is the distribution. So we know if they retire early where they're going to start pulling their money from. First, it's going to come from taxable accounts, and then next we're going to start digging into tax deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks. This whole process is modified because they want to retire early. It would look completely different if they were going to wait to full retirement age at 67. So you can see here they have a $1.27 million net worth, some cash in the bank, some invested assets, some real estate assets, one small mortgage. They, remember, have the allocation that's less equities and more fixed income, and then it's broken up between almost $200,000 of taxable assets within a trust and then $581,000 in an IRA. But their net worth is over $1.2 million. So what are some adjustments that we can make? The cool thing with H&M Happiness is we can make some adjustments right here on the fly. So we know that they want to retire early at 67. We have a reasonable chance of doing that. But one thing I want you to notice is this green bar is how much in assets they will have at the date of the death of the second spouse. So if they went with the current plan retiring at 67, they have $1.9 million left over. Remember, they have that house. Their house is worth about $600,000 or $700,000 right now. So a large portion of this is going to be locked up in that house that they're living in. But we can see here on this side that they might have to utilize some of the assets in the house. Most likely to do that, they're either going to have to sell the house and downsize, or they're going to have to do a reverse mortgage. That's how they're going to be able to use the house as an income asset in retirement. So what are some things that we could do to maybe adjust this? The first thing is, maybe what if we assumed a little bit more risk because they want to retire so young? What if we went to more of a growth portfolio? Let's see if that helps. It helps a lot. But then you say, wow, they're exposed to so much risk. How can you incorporate more risk? How can you put them in a 60-40 or a 70-30? Because they're retiring so young is the answer. The only way to keep up with inflation in this system accounts for those expenses. They're $5,000 now, but every year they're going to inflation adjust for the remainder of their life, so their expenses are going to increase. The growth in the existing assets is very important over the long term to be able to combat inflation. If you don't combat that inflation, it makes your risk so much higher, because people think of risk only as the volatility in their portfolio. That's not risk in my mind. Risk is running out of money later in life because you don't have assets growing. So just adjusting their investment allocation and maybe preserving assets for when they need them in the short term could be the first thing that we could step on. Doing this allows them to keep their expenses the same. Now let's go back. If you don't want to assume the volatility in the portfolio, which in a lot of cases I don't recommend, the next thing I got to tell you is, hey, well, maybe we got to adjust your spending. So you got to change your lifestyle. Maybe we got to go down to $4,500 per month instead of $5,000. Do you want me to tell you that? You want me to say, I got to cut you back? Well, that helps a lot. So by cutting back your spending, that's going to help your plan survive longer. But we don't want to hear that. I don't want to tell people, hey, we got to cut your spending, when all we got to do is maybe adjust your investment portfolio over the long term. So let's erase this. I don't want to do that. So we put that back to 5,000. Let's adjust the investment portfolio. Let's go back to growth, basically like a 60-40 portfolio, maybe a 65-35 equity to fixed income. Now we got a great probability of success. Anything above 80% is phenomenal. But what if we adjusted the way that we distribute the income? Right now, as you can see in this column right here, it's just an inflation adjusted method, where every year we give you 5,000, the market inflates, we just inflate. And every year your income gets an inflation adjustment. And that's it. That's the way we do this for the remainder of your life. It seems to work out pretty well. But what if we change it to the guardrails, a more dynamic spending strategy based on how the portfolio functions? How does that change things? Oh, it makes it way worse. So it's not a good idea to become more dynamic, because we're assuming the risk in the growth portion of the portfolio. So in this particular case, potentially just using an inflation adjusted method could be a good opportunity for you. Some other options are what we would call the retirement spending smile. There's a few options in here, as you can see. This is a phenomenal method. The retirement spending smile is by David Blanchett, where maybe you spend a little bit more early. Why does that make sense? Is because you're retiring early at 60. There's a bridge until Social Security kicks in at our optimal time frame. Then spending decreases as we get a little bit older. Then towards the end of life, for end of life living expenses, they increase and creating a smile effect. So maybe the smile methodology, a little bit more dynamic, but not as dynamic as the guardrails, is a great method. But what about Social Security? What if we went to an optimal strategy of Social Security? Does that really impact this? Not particularly. The optimal strategy in this system is the maximum amount of Social Security benefit that you would receive by delaying or waiting until age 70 in this particular case. That's not necessarily the most valuable method, because this cleans up cash flows. Starting at your full retirement age, or the current strategy that we have set up, could be the best method for you to maximize your income. And let me show you how this works in the cash flows. So you can see here in the cash flows, one thing that's helping them is when they retire, they're going to start to implement a pension. So they're going to get a consistent income along the way. So this is very valuable for them. I guess I could have mentioned that up front, but to be honest with you, it is what it is. But you can see here from age 60 to 67, even though they have that pension, they still have to, in this column over here on the right-hand side, net flows, they still have to distribute assets. We showed you that in the distribution screen. So regardless of the pension, they still got to pull assets. So their pension isn't big enough to cover all their expenses. But you can see here at 68, they get a big boost in their income, which reduces down their net flows right away. They don't have to start distributing assets till age 75 when they start doing required minimum distributions. You can see this in this column. Those are basically distributions from their IRAs or retirement accounts. So this is navigating the cash flows, and incorporating Social Security later doesn't necessarily help this out, because it speeds up distributions. Getting Social Security started earlier actually helps these clients out quite a bit. So to summarize this, these clients could retire earlier if they really wanted to. They're not going to get to overspend throughout their lifetime, but with a good advisor and someone helping coach them, maybe there are years where they could spend more or cut back as we implement the smile. Utilizing the proper Social Security strategy, navigating that pension, and making the right distributions through those 7 years from age 60 to age 70 is going to be really important in navigating all this successfully through retirement for the remainder of their life. So just because you want to retire early doesn't mean you need to be concerned. It just means you need to start planning a little bit more to implement the strategies for you to be successful. If you have any questions, I am accepting new clients, so reach out to me below. I'm happy to chat. We can build this plan and start implementing for you. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Once again, I'm Thatcher Taylor, founder of ProPath Financial and certified financial planner. If you're interested in seeing how we help our clients or implement these strategies that you saw in this video, please go to propathfinancial.com. That's www.propathfinancial.com to learn more, and make sure to say hi to me while you're there. We'll see you next time.